Nature can be unbelievably powerful. A major earthquake can topple huge buildings and bring down entire mountainsides. At Niagara Falls, more than 500,000 gallons of water crash down 18 stories into the Niagara River every second, enough to fill nearly 50 Olympic-sized swimming pools in a minute. And everyone knows about hurricanes, blizzards, avalanches, forest fires, floods, tidal waves, bird tracks, and even thunderstorms. But if you thought Mother Nature didn't have many surprises up her sleeve, think again. Nature has a load of other powers that, while less known, can only be described as, well, freaky. Number 10. Cocooned trees. In 2010, 10 years' worth of rainfall poured onto Pakistani cities and villages in less than a week, completely ravaging the affected areas. An unexpected side effect of the flooding in parts of Pakistan has been that millions of spiders climbed up into the trees to escape the rising floodwaters. Because of the scale of the flooding and the fact that the water has taken so long to recede, many trees have become cocooned in spiders' webs. Spiders have built massive webs on trees, turning them into ghostly cocoons. Such a phenomenon has never been seen before. On the flip side, the people in Sindh have reported fewer mosquitoes than they would have expected, given the amount of stagnant water in the area. It is thought the mosquitoes are getting caught in the spiders' webs, reducing their numbers and the associated risk of malaria. Number 9. Fire tornado. In August of 2018, Carr Fire, the largest of 17 major wildfires burning across California, jumped the Sacramento River and began burning in the city of Redding. As residents evacuated, a scene out of a disaster movie unfolded. A massive tornado of smoke and fire expanded in size, reaching up to 18,000 feet high as it moved through parts of Redding for almost an hour, blowing at nearly tornado-strength speeds. So what exactly is going on in the apocalyptic scene, and what is a fire-nado? Fire tornadoes, or fire-nados, truly look like the doors of hell have opened up. As hot air rises from the ground, it swirls and turns, and then dissipates as the altitude rises. This creates a bathtub drain sort of effect. As the air rises, it picks up burning embers, flammable debris, hot cases, and ash, reaching almost 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. While they only last a few minutes, they are extremely dangerous and move quickly, thus creating a path of destruction in a matter of minutes. Number 8. Horsetail Falls. From December to April in Yosemite National Park, chilly water from melting mountain snow streams toward the eastern edge of El Capitan and forms what's known as Horsetail Falls. The cascade is predictably picturesque within the greater grandeur of one of the country's most stunning national parks. One day of the year, this magnificent waterfall is hit by a ray of sunlight that hits that spot on Earth at just the right angle to make it appear as though gold is falling rather than water. The annual firefall effect, as it is called, draws nature fiends and photographers from around the globe into the cold for an opportunity to glimpse the mesmerizing red-orange glow. The firefall phenomenon generally lasts 7 to 10 days in late February, but the show is never guaranteed. It's a sight to behold and has only been captured by those lucky enough to visit Yosemite and time their cameras perfectly. Number 7. The Black Sun. During the winter, spring, and autumn, in places like the United Kingdom and Denmark, thousands of starlings gather. They move between their winter grounds and their summer breeding grounds, and the phenomena takes place just hours after sunset. These thousands of birds come together and fly as one unit as they look for a place to roost. If a predatory bird comes around, the starlings will vomit and poop on the predator until it can't stay airborne anymore. While the starlings are flying together, they look like a black mass dancing in the sky. Number 6. Hole punch clouds. You're probably familiar with contrails, the wispy strands of clouds made by jet exhaust high in the sky. But if you've ever seen a hole punch cloud, sometimes called a fall streak hole, you'll be surprised by their strange appearance. They look like strange clearings in an altocumulus cloud layer, often circular patches of clear sky surrounded by clouds. Sometimes people report them as UFOs. Airplanes create hole punch clouds, but just how do they do it? They're caused by areas in the clouds where the water has dropped below freezing, but hasn't yet frozen into ice crystals. This water is said to be in a supercooled state. The reason it hasn't frozen is a lack of ice nuclei, tiny particles onto which ice crystals can begin to form. But once just one ice crystal forms, a domino effect called the Bergeron process takes place, and all of the supercooled droplets freeze quickly. These ice crystals then fall, creating the wispy part of the fallstreak hole. But they aren't able to fall very far. They melt and evaporate quite quickly. Number 5. Hair ice. If you were strolling in the forest on a cold winter's morning, you might mistake it for some kind of strange Arctic animal. But these rare, delicate strands of white hair sprouting from rotting branches are actually ice strands. It grows on the rotting branches of certain trees when the conditions are just right, usually during a humid winter night when the temperature drops below 0 degrees Celsius, 32 degrees Fahrenheit. But exactly what forms these delicate structures has eluded scientists for decades, until researchers discovered that the fungus Exodiopsis effusa facilitates its growth. In 1918, Alfred Wegener studied hair ice after noticing a white substance resembling a cobweb coating on the wood upon which hair ice was found. His assistant identified it as fungus mycelium, the mass of thin threads from where mushrooms grow, and suggested some unknown relation between the ice and the fungus. Number 4. Lenticular clouds. Watching the clouds float in over the mountaintops is an incredible experience that makes you realize just how massive and vast a summit can be. It's humbling in a sense, and sometimes even the clouds bend to suit the will of a mountain peak. These are called lenticular clouds, and they throw off the appearance of a cloud dome hovering over the summit of a mountain. These clouds can appear any way and occasionally have a pancake or tube-shaped appearance, but are usually formed when air rises up and condenses. Alternately, they can be a product of wind shear from a weather front. The strangest thing is that they're stationary, which gives them the hat effect. Number 3. Supercells. Have you ever looked at the sky on a May or June day and seen a very tall storm cloud that has an anvil that stretches as far east as you can see? If so, chances are you have probably seen a supercell thunderstorm. Supercells are rotating updrafts within severe thunderstorms. They're big and bloody scary. They can appear anywhere in the world, given the right meteorological conditions. But most of the time, they appear in the Great Plains of the U.S., last generally 2 to 3 hours, and they sometimes split in two, with the two resulting storms going in opposite directions. The supercells usually produce huge amounts of hail, torrential rainfall, strong winds, and substantial downbursts, and they are often carriers of giant hail. There are a whole lot of technical details left to be said, but I'm not going to stress. Scientists have given quite an interest in supercells because, as you could have already guessed from the images, they're really dangerous. Really. Number 2. Freak waves. Imagine you're on an ocean liner when a wall of water 10 stories tall races toward you like an unstoppable freight train. It's not a tsunami caused by an undersea earthquake. Tsunamis are tiny in the open ocean and become enormous and deadly as they approach the shore. No, what you are witnessing at sea is a rogue wave, also called a freak wave. Scientists aren't sure what causes these waves, but they do know that they can appear without any warning in the open sea, even in the clearest of weather. As recently as 15 years ago, these waves were thought to be a myth, but scientists now know that they are very real and very dangerous to even the largest ships. Number 1. Frost flowers. Seemingly straight from Disney's hit film Frozen, which fabulously showcases the natural beauty of winter and reminds us all why it should be our favorite season. Frost flowers are one of the most delicate and intricate-looking natural ice formations. These flowers aren't actually clinging to any type of vegetation and are formed from an array of crystalline frost spikes that appear when warm water vapor emerges from thin surfaces of ice and hits cold air. To form, frost flowers usually need calm, relatively windless conditions, and a temperature difference of 15 degrees Celsius between the atmosphere and the ice surface. These specific conditions mean that frost flowers are typically found in polar regions, though they were spotted last year near Salmon Arm, British Columbia, and usually only occur within the first few days of ice coverage.